Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about the crime in Canada. And I don't know if you watched my previous video when I was talking about Mark Carney and Liberal government sending $60 million to Haiti. Out of $60 million, I believe 40 was to fight the crime and the violent gangs in Haiti. And later I found out the interesting, I would say, article from RCMP that they actually don't have resources to fight the crime as much as they would want to, right? Well, my question is, wouldn't $60 million help you? And like I mentioned it before, I feel like Mark Carney is walking really thin line. I would call the line treason. But yeah, obviously that's kind of exaggeration, because for the treason he would be a little bit different, right? But definitely what he's doing, sending the taxpayers' money to other country for them to fight the crime they have, while our country that protects the taxpayers' money, right, our own RCMPs, don't have enough funds to protect the taxpayers. That's just ridiculous. Unfortunately, it doesn't qualify as treason. Maybe some corruption, definitely mismanagement, and yeah, another thing we talked about, and I'm going to mention it one more time, the Conservatives try to pass the bill that would give more severe sentences to the repeat offenders, because as we know, we have a big amount of crime, but it's caused by the small amount of people. Like, it's literally few criminals that have like 14, 15 records, like criminal records, and they are being catched and released, literally like fish. That's ridiculous. And so Conservatives and Pierre Poilievre were trying to pass the bill that would prevent it. Guess what? Liberals voted against it. So, like, my question is, what is Mark Carney and Liberals, what do they do for Canadians and for residents in Canada, right? Like, you were voted in to represent Canadians. Are you doing that? Is the interest of Canadians your number one priority? Because it doesn't look like it. Like, it literally looks like we're so corrupted. We're so corrupted we might get attacked by Russia soon. You know, military operation to get rid of corruption in Canada. I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm going to take it even further. You know, Mark Carney is going to have a meeting with President Trump next week again. I wonder how much money he's going to promise him, you know? Anyway, without further ado, I have a video from Pierre Poilievre that's gonna talk, I guess, about the crime rate. So let's watch it and let's react to that. So the video is from Pierre Poilievre's YouTube. Name of the video is Safety for Canadians, Jail for Violent Criminals. And as we can see, it's probably gonna be from House of Commons, so we can again expect this huge soap opera. And I bet I'm gonna have some of the comments again like, oh, you don't know how Canada works. Well, obviously it doesn't work, and the taxpayers are paying for the guy announcing who's gonna speak next. Is that really the best use of the taxpayers' money you can imagine? But anyway, let's go through this.
1,600, Mr. Speaker. That is the number of crimes that happen in this country every single day. That's almost one crime per minute. And these aren't statistics.
1,600. I'm going to mention one more thing. Do you know how they passed the new bill against the hate speech, right? Or not the new bill, but kind of an update or addition or whatever you want to call it. Because apparently the hate crime is on the rise. And last year we had about 4,500 hate crimes. Look, does it look like hate crime is the biggest issue right now in Canada? And also, do you count the home invasion, let's say white people, when they invade the home of, I don't know, some minority group or minority group, because it's a little bit different nowadays, right? Do you count that as a hate crime as well? Because like 4,500 a year doesn't sound as bad as 1,600 a day, right? So like, yes, hate crime should not exist, but is that really the best, or is it really the most important thing right now, to get rid of hate crime or to get rid of the crime in total, right? Sorry, I just had to input it in because it sounds ridiculous.
These are innocent people hit over the head with baseball bats. Their jewelry store smashed in by an incoming automobile that then is used to open up and steal the proceeds that families have spent their entire lives earning. It's the people who wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of stomping feet in their living room floor as home invaders break in to steal, rob, pillage, and much worse. It's the Faruqi family, whose courageous father came running out to protect his defenseless children against home invaders and was shot in the throat. It is a 3-year-old girl, mercilessly raped by a chronic repeat offender, a scumbag who had already been convicted of raping a 12-year-old boy, but yet, under liberal laws, was out on the street.
Man, that's disgusting. And the worst thing is, we all heard these stories. And we all saw the videos. It's not like he's talking about something only he has access to, right? We know it's been happening. And the rape of 3-year-old girl, repeated offender who already raped someone. I don't even know what to say. I know what to say, but it's very inappropriate. But like, how is this possible? Explain that to me. Like, the family should hold the government and the judge who let the person go or criminal go accountable. They should sue them, and unfortunately nothing will help that little girl anymore, right? Well, she probably won't remember since she's 3, but no kid should go through this. And because of freaking liberal government. Because they don't want to pass the bill that would keep the criminals behind the bars. And again, I'm gonna have people in the comments being like, "Oh, don't blame liberal voters. You gave them power. That's on you." During the Charlie Kirk situation, I had someone saying like, "Well, all of the people of power said that they're sorry for that happening." But the voters are the people who have power. Once every 4 years, 3 years, whatever, right? But you elect these people of power, which means that at certain point you have the power. So I'm sorry, but you're to blame. Especially as long as you still consider yourself liberal and everything.
C'est le cas qu'on entend à Saint-Jérôme d'une femme tuée par son ex-conjoint. Un conjoint qui avait été déjà arrêté 30 fois et qui a été remis en liberté 16 fois avant de tuer sa partenaire. It's the case of a beautiful young mother, Bailey McCourt, murdered by her ex, who was out on bail. And he had only been released 3 hours earlier. He was only 4 kilometers away from the courthouse that granted him that liberal bail. Now, these are not just sensationalist stories as liberals like to dismiss them. These are facts. While the Justice Minister condescendingly dismissed these crimes as we are not the Wild West, well, the facts would beg to differ, Mr. Speaker. Under this Liberal government, since they have taken office, violent crime is up.
Are you kidding? This is happening in Ottawa, like this House of Commons theater, right? Which is Ontario. Did you see any of the videos or talk to people who live in GTA, Grand Toronto area? Like, it literally is Wild Wild West. I lived there from 2019 till 2022, and I can tell you highways were Wild Wild West back then. The Brampton was Wild Wild West. The Mississauga was crazy. And like seeing how it changed since then right now people are robbing LCBO during daylight, jewelry stores during daylight. Like, how can you say, oh, Canada is not Wild Wild West? Yeah, it's not, but you guys allowed it to happen. Like, it's
55%. Extortions up 330%. Homicides up 29%. Sexual assaults up 76%. There is a cause and there is effect. We know the source of this crime. It is liberal bail. Liberal bail, as passed into law by Liberal Law C-75. It requires judges to release the accused at the earliest opportunity under the least onerous restrictions. Those are the words embedded in the law. And as a result, the same offenders can commit literally hundreds of offenses and be released often within hours of their latest arrest. Police say that often they're not even finished the paperwork on the arrest and the offender is back out on the street. I've had police officers tell me they've arrested the same offender 3 times in the same day. One police officer in the Toronto area told me that most of the arrests this time, the criminals happily confessed to the crime in the back seat of the car because they actually don't care about getting convicted anymore. They know that liberal laws will turn them loose regardless of the outcome of the trial. Now, Liberals pulled a bait and switch in order to get elected. In the last election, they knew that Canadians were fed up with liberal bail. So they said, give us a 4th chance and we'll reverse course. What happened?
They didn't.
Well, it's now been 6 months since the Prime Minister was elected on the promise that he would reverse liberal bail. And where are we? There's not been...
You know what's the big issue? Like, we all know what happened in the US with Irina, right? The Ukrainian girl who was stabbed on the public transit. Well, stabbed multiple times and just died. And the guy, the criminal, again, he was let out on, not even on the bail. He signed some letter that he's gonna behave good. And to be fair, apparently he was trying to find the help, but cops just sent him, kind of like suck it up, right? Because apparently he wasn't completely in there, but who knows if that's the real story or no, because we know that Democrats will always try to play it on mental illness for the lower sentence or anything like that, right? I'm not saying it's not true, but can we believe it? But what's 100% true is that he was criminal, repeated offender, and the judge let him go. And I know that the relationship between Canada and US right now is not the best, and some of the Canadians don't even want to hear about US. But look at them. You don't need to look at what's going on in Canada. You can look into US and you see your future. You see the consequences of the decisions we make. Because US was democratic country, or led by Democrats a year ago, right? 6 months ago. Sorry, not 6 months ago, 9 months ago. And everything that happened there, we chose that we're going to continue. Because liberals, Democrats, it's exactly the same. And if you look at the Irina literally we're doing the same thing. So why don't we look there and be like, oh wait, we have the same laws, so maybe we should change it. Like, it's incredible to me that it's been, what, a month since they stabbed Irina, maybe even a little bit longer, and we're fighting liberals that the criminals should stay behind the bars. Like, this is not normal. Like,
a single liberal bill to reverse the bail system that they set up. Not one. We're 6 months in, Mr. Speaker. We all know what needs to happen. The police have basically written the legislative repeal that is necessary for us to fix the liberal mess. And yet, no bill, nothing, zero, zip, zilch. Maybe it's because the Prime Minister took the unprecedentedly reckless act of appointing Justin Trudeau's most incompetent minister to the job. The now Justice Minister was the immigration minister who literally destroyed the best system in the world, increasing the numbers by 300%.
how is that not corruption? It's very interesting that the guy who was immigration minister let so many immigrants into the country, me included, right? But I have all the paperwork, it doesn't matter. But so many immigrants without the need of them to assimilate or not even really follow the law, habits, customs of Canada, right? I mean, they should follow the law, but all they need to say is, I don't speak English, right? But this guy who let this happen is now Minister of Justice. That doesn't really sit well with me. And yeah, I wonder what his intentions are, because really, like the immigration to Canada is just crazy. And I'm not saying immigration is bad, but you need to have better regulations for immigration. And again, I'm not saying that all the crime is committed by immigrants, but there's definitely fair share. And again, also the crime is caused indirectly the situation of Canada, right? I'm not saying that that's a high percentage, but like if you're not able to afford the food because of the prices and everything, and you're literally in the corner, like either starve or steal something, there are people who go and rob some store or anything, right? Like, where people are desperate in Canada, and it doesn't excuse anyone who makes a decision to become criminal, right? No. But again, there's so many things the government can do to improve the situation. First, start with the criminals staying in the jail, right? Then start improving the living conditions. And yeah, if you improve living conditions, even the mental health will get better, because you don't really need to pop the pills for depression if the cause of your depression is gone, right? Like, people are stressed about the money. People are stressed if they're gonna have money to pay the rent, or if they're gonna end up on the street, or if their car gets repositioned and then they have no way to get to work. Like, all of this, right? Like, there's so many things liberal government should do to lower the crime rate. But hey, apparently that's not their goal.
Over the previous norm, allowing criminals to come into our country unvetted, swamping our housing, job, and health care with too many people too fast. And then he went on to the housing portfolio, where he created the worst housing crisis in the OECD, and now he's in charge of the criminal code. Not compound that problem with the Minister of Public Safety,
corruption,
someone who should resign for having gone ahead with a bill with a plan to confiscate property from law-abiding firearms owners that he was caught on tape saying would not work.
What?
This is who we have as the Keystone Cops in charge of reversing the liberal crime wave of the last decade. Now, some people say we need bail reform. We have bail reform. It's called C-75. What we need is to undo the liberal bail reform. Hence, today, we are calling for the government to scrap liberal bail and replace it with jail, not bail. And so today we put forward a motion that would allow Parliament to adopt Bill C-242, the Jail Not Bail Act, put forward by the brilliant Member of Parliament for Oxford, Ontario. This proposal is backed by police, by crime victims, and by everybody who wants to stop crime. And you will hear more from the member for Niagara South, with whom I'm splitting my time on this matter, Mr. Speaker. And I will note that this government doesn't need to do anything. They don't need to do a thing. They just need to get out of the way. If they get out of the way,
Yep.
they've already broken the bail system. They brought in the chaos that we are now experiencing. We're not asking them to put on a cape and come to the rescue. We're asking them to simply get out of the way. If they do one thing, it is this: sit on their hands and let the House of Commons pass this motion to quickly push through the Jail Not Bail Act. We can lock up the criminals that have been terrorizing our streets. That's all we need them to do.
Amen.
In fact, some people say they're doing nothing. It would be great if they did nothing, actually, because nothing would be a massive improvement over what they have been doing, which is they have been doing violence to our criminal code, and our criminal code has allowed criminals to do violence to our people. We need the answer is actually very simple. Liberals, pseudo-intellectuals in liberal circles love to say the problem is much more complicated. It's not a complicated problem, Mr. Speaker. The statistics tell us the extent. We have a very small number of criminals doing a phenomenal amount of crime. The same 40 offenders in Vancouver got arrested 6,000 times. That's 150 arrests per offender per year, and those were just the occasions on which they were caught. Almost all the crime is done by a tiny group of rampant reoffenders.
Yep.
If you keep them in jail, they cannot reoffend. It is very simple. We did this under the previous Conservative government. And one thing happened that was unsurprising, and one that was maybe counterintuitive.
We saw exactly the same thing in the US. So why are we thinking that it's gonna work over here? Like, I really don't understand it. We know Mark Carney has ties to the US Democrats, right? Even though when he's like, US elbows up, blah, blah, blah. No. It's very interesting to me that the Democratic Party in the US and Liberal Party in Canada, that they do exactly the same thing, even though they know that it's going to damage the country. Like, Canadian Liberals can look to the US, what they did with the country, and do it differently. And yet, no, they think, okay, we're going to continue with what they did. Like, what's the motive? What's the intention of them? I don't understand it. Like, do you really want to run Canada down the drain? Because that's how it looks like. Like, now it literally looks like that's intention. To have the crime rate up, economy down, people not being able to afford literally living in Canada. But why? Like, it looks like they're doing it intentionally.
First thing is, unsurprising, crime went down by 25%, plummeted. Biggest drop in crime in modern Canadian history.
Yeah.
It worked. The second part was a little bit counterintuitive. You know what else went down? Incarcerations. After Liberals warned that we'd have to build new jails to accommodate all of the prisoners, in fact, fewer people ended up in jail. Why? Because the same offenders who were coming in and going out just stayed behind bars. We already had to reserve them a room, Mr. Speaker. It's like the Hotel California. They check out, but they never really leave. Just keep them in the cell and never let them out. Lock them up, throw away the key. But then something else happened. The small-time offenders, or those looking at getting involved in a life of crime, said, hell no, the penalty is too serious.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get a job and follow the law.
Yeah.
Deterrence works. The facts are in. Liberal bail has brought hell to our streets. And the only one keeping that hell in place is this Prime Minister. He and his government need to get out of the way so Conservatives can scrap Liberal bail, lock up the criminals and throw away the key. And do this not out of vengeance or spite, but out of love for the law-abiding people, so that our children can once again play safely in our streets, so that people can go to bed at night in peace and tranquility, so that when they wake up in the morning, their car is still there, so that we have a safe country where law-abiding people can live good, secure, happy, worry-free lives. That's what we're working for. Will the government get out of the way and let us get it done?
Amen. No, Pierre is definitely right in this. And again, I don't know if Conservatives can do it quickly enough. I still think that for Conservative, possibly government, to get Canada back on track, it's going to take 10, 15 years. Like, to undo the damage that the Liberals did with the state of the world right now, it's not going to turn around like this. But the crime rate, that's a different story. They can literally turn it around, no issue. Like, it's not like economy, right? Like, crime rate, if you're gonna keep repeat offenders in jail instead of setting them free, like he said, it's gonna be at least 25% down. And again, the people who are considering to do the crime will think twice about it. And that brings me to Charlie Kirk, right? There's a lot of conversations that he was pro public executions and that the kids should see it. And yes, it sounds extreme, but what do you think is going to happen if the kid, and let's talk 13-year-old or something like that, or even if they just know that it's a possibility, if they hear about it, know about it, do you really think it's gonna push them more towards the crime or more towards being law-abiding citizens? Like, you need to have strict punishment so people know that if they commit crime, there's no chance that they're gonna get out of it, no issue, right? And right now in Canada, the people know that if they commit crime, there's actually more than 50% chance that they're just gonna walk away, right? It's just ridiculous. I really wonder if Pierre managed to pass that new bill or act and get rid of the Liberal bail. Actually, give me 1 second, I'll look into that. So the vote will possibly happen on Monday, so Monday the 6th of October, so fingers crossed we're gonna take some steps towards safe Canada again, because let me tell you, it's crazy. Like, I live in Alberta and I saw multiple articles right now that there's a home invasion spike in the area around the major cities, right? Like Calgary, Edmonton. It's ridiculous. Like, in Alberta, it came to Alberta. I wonder why, right? Any guesses? A lot of people moving from Ontario to Alberta. Apparently Alberta being the only province that actually has more people coming in than leaving. I'm not saying it's all the Ontarians, but look, when there's a crime spike in Alberta, we definitely need to do something about it, because it can turn into bloodbath. Like, you're not going to tell Albertans, oh, just sit on your ass when the thief comes into your house, right? No. And even the articles I read were completely different than the ones from Ontario, right? In Ontario, they will tell you, like, oh, leave the car keys next to the door, leave pretty much everything out there so the thief doesn't go and hurt you. Here it's like, don't leave anything near the door. See? The two different things? So yeah, but like if it came to Alberta, it's serious, and we definitely need to pass this bill C-242 and revoke or scrap the bill C-75. The bill C-75 being the liberal bail. Can you imagine the Vancouver? How nice would it be if the criminals actually stayed in the jail? And Toronto and GTA, how safe it would be again? Obviously, it's never gonna be like 20, 30 years ago. But it doesn't mean that it needs to get exponentially worse, right? So anyway, that was Pierre Poilievre. I share a lot of opinions with Pierre. I was a huge fan. I still am. The only thing is, sometimes he talks like he's in power when he's actually not. So that kind of doesn't really sit well with me because, yeah, you're not our prime minister, so you're still. Yeah, the things you're promising, we know it might not happen until you become prime minister, hopefully one day, but still, like, who thought that Carney is going to be worse than Trudeau, right? We need to get rid of liberals, we need to put conservatives into power. Like I said, 10, 15 years, Canada will be a great country again. If it's going to be a liberal government again, I don't know why would you give them fifth term after what's going on. Well, Canada's not even going to be 51st state, probably. No. Oh, we should make a video about 51st state again. Anyway, if you like the video, subscribe, like. I would appreciate any feedback. Like I always say, if you're a liberal voter, please let me know why you voted for them. I'm really curious, because maybe there's something I'm missing, right? I keep saying it since election, and I see less and less reason, but again, maybe I'm missing something.